We'll go ahead and call this meeting into session, and the first item of business pertains to the agenda and changes to the agenda. And so, as you'll remember from the workshop today, colleagues, we do have one change, and that is consent agenda added item 7.25, affiliation agreement between the School Board of Okaloosa County and the Crestview Rehabilitation Center at the request of Mr. John Williams, Director, Okaloosa County Technical College. Okay? And so with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda. Motion by Ms. Gardner,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. That now brings us to Section 3, recognitions. And 3.1 will be a proclamation to recognize the month of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, presented by Superintendent Chambers. Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. White and School Board. As you know, the last number of years, we've recognized this month as the month of September, being Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I know that this is special not only to the school district, but special to each of us up here. And we have with us today members from the Rally Foundation and some of our school board employees as well, who are here to support this proclamation. And just a little bit of information in terms of stats. Cancer is the #1 disease killer of kids in America. 47 kids are diagnosed with cancer every day. Different research is required for kid cancer because it's different than adult cancer. And in 28 years, only 6 drugs were specifically approved by the FDA for childhood cancer versus 200 for adults. So here in Okaloosa, we know that, so we're about the kid business, and something like this is something that's very important for us. So I do want to read this proclamation at this time. A proclamation to designate the month of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas children in Okaloosa County School District's most valuable resource and their health and wellness is crucial to their success in the classroom. And whereas Northwest Florida reports an average of 50 local children are newly diagnosed with cancer each year. And whereas cancer is the #1 disease killer of children in the United States, yet childhood cancer research is severely underfunded, where the National Institute of Health only allocates 4% of cancer research funding to children. And whereas research in the field of childhood cancer will allow for better treatment options, safe quality therapies, and ultimately a cure for this deadly disease. Whereas Rally Foundation for Childhood Cancer Research has provided a valuable resource to children and families who are afflicted with this horrendous disease. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Okaloosa County, Florida, does hereby recognize the month of September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and encourages others to participate in efforts throughout the year to raise awareness and funding for childhood cancer research with Rally Gulf Coast while supporting families who face devastating effects and costs. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the regular meeting of the school board and that a copy be tendered to Rally Gulf Coast, adopted this 23rd day of September 2024. And we do have a member of the Rally Foundation here, but I know we may need to take some action, and school board may want to have some comments as well.
All right, well, I know that I certainly support this resolution, and colleagues, as you know, it's an action item, so we will need a motion.
I move that we accept this proclamation and this
Motion.
action. Motion.
I second it.
All right, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Colleagues, any comments?
Well, Mr. Superintendent, you're correct. I mean, we are in the, if you call it that, children business, and we would like to think that all of our children come every day healthy and ready to learn, but that is not the case, sadly. And so it's important that we recognize the depth of having cancer in children and the research that's going on to help them. So I'm glad that we're pausing tonight to look at that and keep it in mind that not all children come healthy, and that hopefully by recognizing these we get more funding. Like you said, it's shocking that such few drugs are invented or what are discovered for childhood cancer. That's shocking, but I think, like I said, I'm glad that we're able to recognize this tonight.
All right, very good. Anyone else? All right, so with that, then let's go ahead and act on the proclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. White. Before we move on, we do have a proclamation to
Oh, yes.
present
Right.
to those who are here with the Rally Foundation. If you might want to come forward and you might have some words before the board.
So my name is Haley Brown, and I actually work for Rally Gulf Coast. I am our family liaison, so I am the direct support person for the families within the hospital, doing events outside of the hospital for the families to get together and be around people that are going through a similar situation and really just having some normalcy. And I just want to say thank you guys for recognizing the importance of this proclamation, and the support that these families need is very crucial, and they need a village. And so I just really appreciate it on behalf of Rally Gulf Coast. It's been truly life-changing and such an honor to be able to do the work that I'm doing. And I would like to take a moment to let you guys know we do have one of our Rally moms. She is hosting an event in Crestview October 12th in memory of her daughter Finley. And so we are really trying to push for our families and support them as well. So thank you again for everything that you guys do.
Thank you. And I see behind you, you have Miss Hutchins, who's here. She's one of our bookkeepers in our school district for many, many years, doing a great job. And so just appreciate you being here to support it as well.
I thank you all, and I thank my new school very much. The district has even been supportive of Annalee, who was diagnosed in November, and we've really been the product of the Rally group. And my family greatly appreciates it. So thank you all. Just continued prayers, please.
Thank you. We're going to present you the proclamation. Take a picture. Dr. White, school board, want to join us?
Everybody's phone's going up.
Take a couple, so you can speak slowly.
All right, thank you, Superintendent, and that takes us to Section 4, Administrative Appointments, and a little bit unusual, we don't have any of those tonight. And then we go to Section 5, Public Comment, and this is, I have a card here from Ms. Kara Marion. Ms. Marion? Ms. Marion, I know you've been here before, so do you need us to go over the rules?
I do
or-
not, thank you.
Okay, all right, yes, ma'am.
Welcome to the board, and thank you for fielding my call earlier in the week. I was retained by a parent in the school district as a consultant. I work as a professional mental health counselor. I am a Christian clinical counselor under the Florida statute, and I also do consulting work. So not a licensed professional, but we're able to still operate under other Florida statutes to be able to provide mental health, the same mental health care. So just so you understand how I operate and why I do consulting work also in that field. A parent got in touch with me because her child was suspended. I am very appreciative that the people that have come and met with us in the consultation have overturned that ruling, so we're very thankful for that. The child's no longer suspended. However, there were some concerns that came up along the way. One of them, and we met with Ms. Lamb a couple times, and one of those was that the records were being considered an educational record for his mental health counseling. Ms. Lamb was nice enough to provide me with this today, which is FERPA, for anybody who understands that, which I understand as well. She said she was in consultation with the attorney, Mr. McGinnis. But I want to make sure that we understand that while FERPA does guide us because we take federal funds, we can be more restrictive. And the school board has decided to be more restrictive, which I really appreciate as a mental health professional, because those records should be maintained in confidentiality. The problem is that it seems like we're operating under FERPA and we're not operating under our school board policy, which is 0501, which states educational records means records that are directly related to a student and that are maintained at an educational agency or institution or a party acting for or on behalf of the agency or institution as defined in the statute, that's here, that Mr. Hale also emailed, or Dr. Hale, excuse me, emailed today to the mother. However, it goes on to say, and it says, education records do not include, and it goes through a list of them, but I'm going to read one of the things it says are not included as an educational record. Records created or maintained by a physician, a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or other recognized professional or paraprofessionals acting in his or her professional or paraprofessional capacity or assisting in that capacity, which are created, maintained, or used only in connection with the provision of treatment to the student, and which are not available to anyone other than persons providing such treatment. However, such records shall be open to a physician or other appropriate professionals of the student's choice, not of the school's choice, not of the district's choice, not of the attorney's choice, not of the principal's choice, not anybody else's choice. This is what governs us. We need to understand that. Those records were also released via a just FOIA request. That is not appropriate. They're also not subject to Florida Statute 119. I've seen the records, I've gone through them, and I'm very...
Thank you, Ms. Marion. And I know you have a yellow card, so you can finish at that time if you
Yes,
would
I
like
will.
to.
Thank you.
All right, yes, ma'am. I thought you might have been beeping me.
I thought it might be the weather warning or something.
That's what I thought.
All right, so that takes us through Section 5 and brings us to Section 6, Committee and Staff Reports. All right, we did those, of course, at the workshop today, and then that moves us to Consent Agenda. And 7.1 will be the approval of the consent agenda, so I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second?
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, so move on down to Section 8. All right. And that brings us to the superintendent's business. 8.1, information only, would be employees on administrative leave. 8.2, information only, deferred retirement option program. All right, 8.3, we got 1 minute. We have public hearings. Let's go ahead and hold back on 8.3, and colleagues, if you'll go ahead and take a moment and move on down to the public hearing section. And, all right, so 15.1 will be the public hearing for instructional materials adoption for secondary science and career and technical education, reproductive health, and disease education, presented by Ms. Tammy Ellis, science specialist, curriculum and instruction, and recommended by the superintendent for approval. Is there anyone here to speak to this item this evening? All right, so seeing none, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evanchak, second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, 15.2, public hearing for the adoption of revised school board policies, Chapter 2, Fiscal Management, presented by Ms. Perry, Chief Financial Officer, and recommended by the superintendent for approval. Is there anyone here tonight to speak to this item? Well, seeing none, I need a motion.
So moved?
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
Second.
second by Ms. Evanchek. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, 15.3, public hearing for the adoption of revised school board policy 06-42, progressive discipline for school safety violations, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent for approval. Is there anyone here to speak to this item tonight? All right, seeing none, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second.
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? All right, being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, then the last one, 15.4, public hearing for the adoption of revised school board policy 08-09, duties, ethics, professional conduct, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent. Is there anyone here to speak to this item tonight? All right, being none, I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? All right, being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, so that concludes the public hearings. And we'll go back up to item 8.3.
Four.
Four?
3.
We're on 3.
Three.
That's
Three,
right.
yes, three.
All right, so 8.3, proposed fiscal year 24-25 salary schedules for school administrative, department administrative, managerial, professional, technical, and temporary personnel, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent. I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
I'll
second
second.
by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right. 8.4, cleared certification requirements and issuance of contracts for the 24-25 school year, presented by Ms. Duron and recommended by the superintendent.
I move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.5, out-of-field report for the 24-25 school year by Ms. Duron and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second.
second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.6, employment separations presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
I'll
That's
second
close.
it.
All right, motion by Ms. Evancheck, second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.7, personnel recommendations presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
Second.
second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.8, employee transfers presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second.
second by Ms. Evancheck. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.9, employee suspension presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll
So-
move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
Second.
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.10, employee termination presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Gardner,
Second.
second by Mr. Heinley. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.11, employee termination presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 8.12, reinstatement reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty illness, injury, medical examination presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. And then 8.13, leave without pay, presented by Dr. Hale and recommended by the superintendent.
I'll move it.
Motion by Ms. Evancheck,
Second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, so there are no items on the discussion agenda. There's not a report this evening on Section 10?
No, that will be in October.
All right,
the first.
October. Very good. Yes, ma'am. And then that brings us to the attorney's business. Mr. Attorney, anything?
No report tonight.
All right, sir. And then Superintendent, welcome back.
Thank you.
And you have some out-of-state field trip request, and you also may have some other business you'd like to bring.
Thank you, Dr. Watt. I do want to say we have, I see Miss Curley, our principal from Edge, back there, who's here with us this evening, and her son. And I was going to offer her son an opportunity to come before the board and speak for 15 minutes.
I bet he could do it.
I think he said no, so that's fine.
No, thank you.
I do want to thank Dr. Hale for sitting in with me this morning. As you know, I was at the FHSAA board meeting this morning. Was supposed to be going to Orlando after that for our superintendent's meeting, but that was canceled. So came back here for the board meeting. I do appreciate the update on the weather. I think Mr. Spolsky or Dr. Hale gave a good update on that from what they shared with me. We're continuing to monitor the weather. We'll get more information tomorrow. I do appreciate all the communication with our administrators, our school district, our families, and we'll continue that right now. I think, as you know, this has the possibility of being a more significant storm, so we will be prepared, and just our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in this time for safety during this weather event. And that's all I have right now.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. All right, so that takes us to Section 13, Board Members' Announcements. But first, we do have some business to attend to, as you'll remember from our discussion this morning. All right, so 13.1, Designation of School Board Member to serve as the board's representative to the Educational Support Professional of the Year Selection Committee.
And I believe I indicated that I would do that if no one else wants to wrestle
right.
me forward or whatever.
All right,
they
Ms.
would.
Evanchek, thank you. So, colleagues, we need to make a motion for Ms. Evanchek to serve in that capacity.
I will make that motion.
All right, Ms. Gardner, thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I will second it.
Second by
Thank you.
Mr. Heinley. All right, so any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. 13.2, Designation of a school board member to serve a 2-year term as the board's representative to the Teacher of the Year Selection Committee.
And I was coerced into that, but I will accept it.
Thank you. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll like
You
it.
will really
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, all right, so we need a motion for Mr. Heinley.
I move it.
And
that
I'll
Mr.
second it.
Okay.
All right. Motion by Ms. Evanchek, second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then 13.3, this is the one that I said I would do, and this is designation of the school board member to serve as the board's representative to the Principal of the Year
Okay.
and Assistant Principal of the Year Selection Committee. So I need a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Heinley,
And I'll second.
second by Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Being none, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right, so that brings us to board members' announcements and requests for information. And so, Mr. Heinley, sir, I know you have some things today, and you may have something this evening.
Well, she passed this morning.
Oh,
Mr.
she was
Superintendent, she nailed it.
ready.
23rd President,
23rd president, today's the 23rd. 23rd president was,
Benjamin Harrison, grandson of the 9th.
that's very
You
good.
could not even get the question out
Yeah, she
completely.
was
when
prepared.
was-
I would also like to publicly announce Ms. Guard sent out an email, and Niceville High School is proud to send 8 students along with 4 adult chaperones to represent the school on the world stage during a special trip to Japan over Thanksgiving timeframe. Nagisa, it's the National Geography and Shore Areas. Niceville High School is the only high school participating in this international project. Well done, and they have it's going to be expensive for them, but it's quite the honor, and they've done a great job. So just wanted to publicly put that out there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Heinley. Ms. Evanchek.
Yes. Just one thing, Mr. Chambers, I mentioned this at the workshop today, but I'd like to repeat it since you're here. I want to commend you on your message several days ago out to the public about the stance that the district and the board would take if someone does a school threat. I thought that was very well presented, and certainly in a very serious manner, which it is. We know that we've been having that, not so much here, but out in our country, and I appreciate you taking that time to get that out there in various formats through social media and other ways, so that we don't want that to even come here. And thank you, sir, for handling that.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate that.
And Ms. Gardner?
I just want to remind our parents and even our employees that please keep your numbers, telephone numbers, cell phone numbers updated. I received my call today, I think from Ms. Card, about the weather, and I know our numbers change often. Parents move in and out, and also just to remind them to make sure that the front office has your correct number, and also for the buses. So keep those current, please. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. And I mentioned it this morning, and the superintendent expressing gratitude to you and to your staff for keeping everyone informed about the weather conditions. And we know how important that is and how serious that is. And so I know you'll keep doing that. Okay? All right, so that takes care of board members' business and brings us to section 14, public comment. And Ms. Marion, I have your yellow card here. So here again, I think you know the rules
we go.
unless you...
My auctioneer skills. All right, so the reason that I'm going to guess, my guesstimation of why mental health records aren't been excluded by the board from education records is because they have an extra layer of confidentiality to them, both in public and in private. So in the records request that we did, we have a records release here that's specific to mental health records that the school district holds. So it has an extra layer that the parent has to come in and show an ID that that's who they are. That's how important it is that we maintain that confidentiality, because it cannot be released to anybody else. So it's important that we do this. This was not done, obviously. I'm holding up the one that we received. The other reason why is because when you have an employee that is also licensed by the state, they have to mind those licensure rules that they have as well. So as mental health counselors, they have to maintain confidentiality of records. There's two different statutes for confidentiality, and the only things that we can do to break that confidentiality, even if it's a child. Okay, so that being, if they're going to kill themselves, we have a right to Baker Act. So we can leave things out of the session and talk to the appropriate authorities, which is law enforcement. Same thing for duty to warn. We are to talk to law enforcement. And then the three other things is child abuse, elderly abuse, or handicap abuse. Anything else is maintained in confidentiality in there. We've already established that mental health records, as the board in their knowledge, and I think this was very good, said those are not going to be education records. So they should not be subject to anybody else besides exactly what you have on your student intervention services for receipt of confidential mental health records. This is how they need to be handled. So hopefully we can get together and meet. Ms. Lamb has been very gracious and kind to work with me. I'll come free of service as always and say, hey, how can we make this better? Because this is about our community and us making sure that we get kids the help that they need and they want wherever they seek it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marion. All right, so that takes us through public comment, and we've already done our public hearings, and we've done board members' business. And colleagues, anything else here at the dais? Staff? Superintendent?
No, sir.
Mr. Attorney? This meeting is adjourned.